Hi, I'm Hansen. I'm the CTO and founder of SiteSpect, and we put together this video to explain to information technology stakeholders a number of different topics about the SiteSpect technology and how it works and how it may fit into your infrastructure. Chances are that if you're watching this video, it's because someone in your organization is considering SiteSpect for A/B testing, for personalization, or for website recommendations. And you may be tasked with trying to figure out how SiteSpect will work with your traffic, how it will integrate into your site, and various other concerns or questions that you may have about how this is all going to fit together. So we'll just take a minute and talk about performance and how we make the performance information that we collect transparent to you, as well as general status information about the SiteSpect Cloud. Now, all SiteSpect customers, SiteSpect Cloud customers, automatically get a performance dashboard within the product. The performance dashboard is measuring two key things for you. Number one, it is the round trip time between SiteSpect and your origin. And the second thing is the actual internal SiteSpect overhead, meaning how long does SiteSpect take to sit essentially and manipulate your content and do the functions that need to happen for the tests and personalization campaigns that you're running. So when we say 20 to 50 milliseconds, it is the combined time to perform both of these. But within the performance dashboard in our UI, you have access in real time, literally up to the second, of measurements for each request and response that is being proxied through the SiteSpect layer. How long does it take for SiteSpect to retrieve content from your origin? And then how long does it take SiteSpect to assign users to campaigns, to apply the changes to the response payload, to measure and record different behavioral metrics, so on and so forth. So those are all included in the overhead. And what's really useful is not only for the transparency and the knowledge that you can gain and just the ability to always know what SiteSpect is doing with your traffic. In addition to that, it's actually very useful for troubleshooting origin issues. So for example, customers will use the performance dashboard to pick out the needles in the haystack, as it were, for what are the URLs that are coming from, that are being requested from our origin that are taking maybe more than a second to produce a response, or more than 2 seconds. And there have been many cases where customers have figured out, just in this right combination of circumstances, this one page is taking 8 seconds to produce a response. And it may not be for everyone, and it may not be all the time, but it's in these certain scenarios. And this is something that is a value add. You essentially get built into the SiteSpect product to be able to surface this kind of insight and essentially figure out what are all the conditions that led to that type of response consistently being higher than you would like in terms of latency. Within the second point, the SiteSpect overhead, every change that SiteSpect is doing is actually recorded as a list of elements in the response that we're measuring for this dashboard. So it is also possible to say, hey, this user loaded one page and they are in 20 overlapping SiteSpect experiments, and each of those experiments applied these 2, 3, or 4 different changes to it. How is it that this overhead ended up being 40 milliseconds? Like, what's actually part of that 40 milliseconds? So all of that is picked apart, able to be queried. It is, under the hood, a full elk stack, Elasticsearch log stash, and Kibana front end that really lets you do some very powerful types of queries and, again, surface these types of insights. Now, in addition to the performance dashboard, there is also a RUM module that SiteSpect makes available. This is a not part of our core baseline product. This is an additional module that you will add to your account. But what it does is it inserts an inline beacon into the page that will take all of the measurements, the browser telemetry around page load time, rendering, document ready, complete, all that sort of stuff, and it will record that in addition to these two elements. So now you have the ability to not only know how fast or slow your origin is on a very granular basis, but all the other stuff that's going into your page, third-party assets, third-party code, third-party beacons, add beacons, other different JavaScript tools that you may use for other reasons. It will give you granularity of all of that. And of course, all within the larger context here of experiments or campaigns that you're running on your website for optimization purposes. So this is a value add that comes in addition to the performance dashboard that's built in. Now, the last thing here I want to talk about is simply our status page, status.sitespec.com is our public status page. You can go there and see all of our operating history for each of our POPs and for each of the functional layers of our product. This, of course, is one of the ways that we communicate with customers and just let them know about status if there's any performance issue or something is degraded or we've rerouted traffic or whatever has happened. There's a lot of automation that automatically will publish updates to this because so much of our environment is automated as well. But if you go to this, you will see on a POP by POP basis, generally they are 4 to 5 nines on individual POP. And as I said in an earlier segment of this video, end users are actually always given out multiple IPs that they can route to. This lets the browser automatically discriminate between 2 available IP endpoints that they can make a request to. If for whatever reason one doesn't work, it automatically retries the other. But what that means is that in aggregate, the reality is that if you look at our performance uptime, it's very close to 100%. That being said, status is where we encourage customers to subscribe to the feed. You can get an email or an alert if there's anything that's going on. And again, it's just our way of being open and transparent to really the entire industry about how seriously we take performance, stability, uptime, and all that sort of stuff. So I hope you've gotten value out of this series of videos. I'm very happy to have any kind of conversation directly or answer any questions, follow-up questions that you may have. You can email me directly, ehansen, that's EHANSEN, @sitespec.com. And I look forward to hearing from you.